So I'm guessing that you clicked on this video because you saw the thumbnail of my Blue Tongue Skink, my Halmahera Blue Tongue Skink. But sadly, I don't have him here with me today. Usually when I make videos like this, I'll take out the animal in question and I'll kind of run through whatever I'm talking about. But I already rehomed Adonis, my Blue Tongue Skink. I wanted to still make a video about the experience and like where I'm at and all that good stuff. But rehoming him came up pretty quickly, and to be honest, I did try to film this video right before I met up with the person who I rehomed him to, but it didn't record, so it is what it is, and for that video I did have him out. But regardless, alright, enough fluff. So I've had Adonis since 2020. I got him as a juvenile. I'm not sure how old he was when I got him, but he was pretty young. He was maybe like yay big, the size of an adult leopard gecko, maybe a little bit bigger, so that was the thing. But anyway, I really haven't had any problems taking care of him or anything. I've really enjoyed my time working with him, and he's been largely great. Like I loved that guy, honestly. Talking about him now does make me miss him a little bit, and I always walk by his enclosure now and he's not there, just like hanging out, and I'm just like, oh, he's not there anymore. But it's alright, it's whatever. The reason why I needed to rehome him was because, if we're being honest, a lot of people don't really talk about this, what I'm about to say, online, especially with reptiles, because they'll go for your throat. But I dropped the ball with his husbandry, honestly. Ever since I moved into this apartment, his enclosure hasn't been as humid as it needs to be, and he's had some issues shedding and stuff. And as I've gotten busier, I've done what I can. I've like soaked him and stuff, but it's obviously not the most ideal scenario, especially for a Halmahera Blue Tongue Skink, which is his subspecies. He was from Indonesia originally. He isn't wild caught or anything. He was captive born, but his species is Indonesian. Anyways, he may have had a little respiratory thing going on for a little bit, but over the last month or two, he was eating for me like a champ. He was active and energetic and stuff. He was still his spunky little self. He wouldn't really act any different. But regardless, where I'm at a point in my life where I need to, as I've said several times across my videos, downsize and focus on animals that, well, are lower maintenance, that work better for my lifestyle. And sadly, Adonis does not fit into that mold. Even my Ackies don't fit into that mold. I don't have them anymore. I haven't had them for months, but rehoming both Adonis and my Ackies was 100% the right decision. The geckos that I'm down to now only need the crested gecko diet, and then everything else I have are snakes, which eat minimum once a week or longer, depending on how big the species is. So that's basically where I'm at. I've been trying to rehome Adonis for longer than I'd like to admit, honestly. It started when I was rehoming everything else, where I'd throw an ad on Facebook or a post, because you can't officially sell animals on Facebook. People would reach out and flake, and if you have any experience with rehoming animals on Facebook, you'll kind of know where I'm coming from. But it is a giant pain in the ass, honestly, because especially, like, I mean, I can't really speak to the other communities of people, but like, I would say that like 3 or 4 out of every 6 reptile people are kind of hagglers. I don't want to assume why that is, but it's just what I've dealt with. And I mean, okay, I can assume that it's probably just the economy, but even before the economy took a nosedive, I've been dealing with people that give disrespectful offers, let's say, when I'm trying to rehome animals. But I finally found someone, like at the time of recording this, it's a Tuesday. On Sunday night, they reached out to me and moved pretty quickly because I dropped the price of Adonis a little bit, but overall I'm content. He's going to a good home. The person that bought him is working towards opening a reptile outreach program and moving to Florida. So I mean, honestly, when that person told me that, I'm just like, well, say less. I know that Adonis is going to a good home, so I'm looking forward to seeing what may come of that in the future, since I'm trying to kind of keep in touch with the people I rehome my animals to a point, at least, you know. I wanted to use this video to run through my experience owning a Blue Tongue Skink, if they're good pets, and if they're maybe the right pet for you. So the first thing that I wanted to go over with Adonis is that he is not your average Blue Tongue Skink. He is a Halmahera Blue Tongue Skink, or an Indonesian Blue Tongue Skink. And that just means that he requires a butt ton of humidity. They need it at like 60 to 80% constantly. And that was never a problem back when I lived with my parents. nice. But here in my apartment, it's just a lot drier for some reason, and I no longer had him in this like misting unit. Actually, it's like right behind me. I might show a clip of it, but it was a Exoterra misting system that worked great for a super long time. I just never replaced it. I thought he was doing okay, but over time, I could tell the humidity was kind of, I should say the lack thereof was getting to him a little bit. So that's definitely something you want to be aware of when you're getting blue tongue skinks. I impulse bought Adonis because I had always wanted a blue tongue skink, and that's definitely not the right move, but it's the move that I made, so obviously I wasn't gonna like bring him back or anything, because by this point it was too late to do so anyways, and I did grow attached to him, so he was my baby, for lack of a better word, up until I rehomed him. So I've slowed down with my animal rehoming process, but overall blue tongue skinks are honestly great pets. I loved just seeing him out and about, just kind of hanging out as I would go by his tank and stuff. Now that I no longer have him, I do kind of feel a little like ping, like, oh, I miss seeing him all the time and just seeing him like being his derpy self, doing his thing. But you know, with the life I'm moving towards, I'm not gonna be as centered around having reptiles as pets, so it's better that he would go to someone who will be devoted more to him than I would be. Blue tongue skinks are relatively low maintenance. The humidity piece is a giant chunk of their care, but outside of that, they are omnivores. They'll eat bugs and veggies. I fed mine a special blue tongue skink diet, think like a crested gecko diet, but for blue tongue skinks, and he took on that just fine, and every so often I treat him with bugs or like veggies or something. But overall, they get most of their nutrients from the Repashy diet, but you do want to vary here and there. I've heard varying things about how blue tongue skinks can be in terms of being tame. I held mine a lot when he was younger, and he always had the same reaction to being held, even into his adulthood, where he would be a little bit skittish when you first take him out, but after a while he would kind of mellow out and realize he's not in danger and just kind of be there. Not in the same way that a bearded dragon would just hang out and be there, but he was still a good guy, and I did enjoy working with him. Blue tongue skinks might not be ideal for a reptile beginner or someone who's like a younger person, like a kid, just because, in my opinion, even though they're on the lower maintenance side, there are still some critical factors to their care that can be overlooked if you're just getting into it. Like I've already expressed several times, humidity, especially for the Indonesian subspecies, including Halmaheras. If you were to get a northern blue tongue skink, they live in a much drier climate, so they're better off. There's more room for mistakes, and in my personal opinion, any animal that lives in the desert climate as opposed to the tropical climates are hardier. Now that's just totally my opinion, just based off of the animals that I've worked with over the years, and I don't have any like scientific backing of that statement, but that's just my opinion based off of the animals I've worked with. And going off of that notion, northern blue tongue skinks would most likely be hardier than Indonesian blue tongue skinks. All that being said, I really do wish that I was making this with Adonis just chilling on my shoulder or something. I'll be trying to sprinkle in pictures and clips of him just from over the years of me having him. I had him for a few years. Maybe someday I'll get another one. I kind of do now that I think about that actively, but at the same time, it's just not realistic at this point in my life. With Adonis officially rehomed, I've reached a point with my reptiles where everything that I do still have is kind of bearable. I'm down to just my neon day geckos. I have a trio of them. I have 3 gargoyle geckos, and then the rest of the animals that I have are snakes. I got my California Mexican black king snake hybrid. I have my boa, and I have almost all my ball pythons. I keep telling myself that I want to try to breed my ball pythons this year because, I mean, I have several individuals where I could do that, but I'm still kind of torn. Yeah, they are assets. Yeah, they could make me money, but I want to do it right, and if they're not here in my apartment with me, then that's probably not the most ideal scenario. So we'll see how it goes. Now that I have my animals down to a reasonable size, I'm starting to rethink what I might do with them, but I always want reptiles to be like a part of my life in some way. So it might come to a point where I do have to actually sell them all, because if you've been following my channel for any period of time, you'd know that I've been talking about this for months. I've been making strides towards rehoming my animals and selling some off. The reality of the situation was I was was overwhelmed given the other endeavors I'm pursuing and stuff. So this will likely be the final reptile video that I do for a fairly long time, at least in the context of the reptile hobby and having reptiles as pets. Since I've downsized most of my animals at this point, this video is more of like a record for myself. I do hope that you got some value out of the first half before it devolved into me just rambling. But it's all good. But alright guys, a quick one today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one.